avatar call map. So, okay, so this is what I have. There is a long slide deck from Image, which I was trying to find before the call, and I found it, but I haven't added it here from IBC. Let me just summarize. So there's this avatar call mat was an avatar communication AR calls. And what it does, it adds to a CR to 26264. 264 is for the purpose of AR communication. And it adds stage 3 pieces needed to enable avatar calls. So what it adopts is the MPEG Part 39R for base avatars. It specifies support for both 3D and 2D avatars. It defines data channel-based animation messages with support for facial, joint, and landmark animation. The changes introduced in the SDP and data channel-based to add avatars to an IMS call. Signaling allows for activation of animation avatar rendering on the sender side, in the network, or on the receiver side. And there's this MBAR management service for the base avatar repository. So this is for the purpose that you download my hat, is also defined to enable the creation and management of user space avatar, as well as the selection sharing of a subset of the avatar assets to be used in an avatar call. So that is also related to some security and required, because obviously I don't want that my hat that I share with somebody else is misused. And you can store this. So maybe the operator can store my hat in a secure place, and if I call someone, they can take it and animate my hat. So these are kind of the ideas around this. From a UI implementation point of view, there's obviously quite some work to be done to integrate this, but it would have to support this full avatar handling, but also the generation of the animation stream. So it's an end-to-end, it's a very UI-centric topic. It's 100% complete. There was quite some effort in the last minute. And these were all the companies that were involved: Qualcomm, Huawei, CMCC, Vodafone, InterDigital, and Nokia. Yes, and as said, I have a detailed slide on that one that I need to find. I stopped sharing quickly to find it, but I check if there is an immediate question, and maybe I use the backup slides for answering questions.
Maybe I ask a question to Jordi and Niels. Is this something that we're already looking into, or is it not really dealt from our side at this point?
So on my end, I've reviewed the latest documents, and basically identified there was quite some work in implementing this avatar format, for instance, in Unity. I looked into the reference software from MPEG, but we haven't got to an implementation. We're really far from there. But I saw that there were contributions that could be maybe very useful to actually make this happen in 5G Mag contribution at MPEG. Although those are not public, we need to see if we can use them in the future, if they will be made public. And maybe one question I had is that, and that's maybe one blocking point here, is that this all means that there is bidirectional low latency real-time communication to implement this kind of use case. So to me, this was maybe the blocking point to actually implement avatar call, but I mean, it can be progressed step by step. That's like we mentioned last week. There is no like IMS out of the box IMS system that can be integrated in 5G Mag. So we could have a low latency bidirectional like WebRTC demonstration, but then we need to see exactly how this is implemented and fits in terms of architecture from 3GPP. What needs to be done exactly there? Thomas, the base avatar repository, is it something that can be considered optional in implementing reference tools, or
I expect so. I mean, there's no expectations to basically have a full solution. This requires some work, and I'm happy to coordinate a bit more. I believe this is I consider it an interesting topic because it's something that is in contrast to the idea of creating video streams. It's actually easier to create, for example. I think this is shown here. I don't believe we have it here. It's easier to create tracking systems from, for example, a glass. So you can monitor your hands, you can monitor your face expressions. There's even ways that speech can be translated into animation streams, right? So,
yes.
and with all of the advances of AI, you get all of this sensor data into an AI system that generates the animation streams, right? And then there's this common APIs that is provided by OpenSR, which provides you the tracking data, and that works for both face as well as body tracking. So this is less intriguing, right? So, but this is I think it's interesting, and we should identify if and how we can start a reference implementation. But I'm not ready to kind of say this is exactly what we need to do. It requires a bit of considerations.
I have one question on the animation bitstream. As I understand, it's still being developed and standardized. Is that right? Or has it
Okay,
been
let's say it like this.
reached
The
the standard?
animation bitstream here, it's defined, right? What we currently do is that the animation bit streams are lossless, and they use either no compression or just a lossless zip compression, so you can zip them. There's more work happening in MPEG that is not to be part of the release 19, the ability to compress animation streams. And while we didn't consider this being an essential issue, we see some benefits that components of this avatar calling can be compressed. That work is now put into the second phase in MPEG, where we look into the compression of these things to reduce the bit rates. For now, we're focusing on the uncompressed, or at least those that are losslessly compressed or just zipped packaged data. So these are defined.
Okay. So that's good. I don't think I have another question right now. Oh, you mentioned 2D avatars. If I recall correctly, this is implemented as like an image and a model and some parameters for inferring the avatar animation from this. Is this like if we were to implement in 5G bag these avatar features, is there like a prioritization that needs to be made in between those two?
I don't know. I don't know. I would have.
Are fairly
I
different.
haven't checked these details, so I'm not ready for basically saying. I mean, I believe from our perspective, the preference would be to go with 3D avatars, but I don't want to speak for everyone on the call.
My focus so far has been on 3D avatar, but I saw that there is this 2D avatar.
Yeah, that's good. That makes sense.
Is there a case for rendering the avatar not on the device itself, but on, for instance, if you have glasses, rendering that on a smartphone or.
Yeah, I would but you would render like a 3D the scene, right? And the avatar could be part of a scene. So then you render the scene and basically do this on the device. That could be well the case that you do the rendering. I mean, there's even cases where the rendering would be done in the network. I think that is said somewhere here.
Yes, that's what I think about. So that's
I mean, from our perspective, we don't see that being the first use case. But obviously, if you need to render, maybe if you have a conference room and you need to render 10 guys, maybe that is too heavy. So then you render the scene with the avatars in the network and flatten the scene and do a split rendering into the device. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.